Alrighty, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Cool, let's get started. We are starting on time. So, want to welcome everybody for tuning in to tonight's Tapped In session, a space to meet creatives where they are. This is going to be the first of many conversations that the PLC team will have for the sole purpose of, connecting directly with you all and making sure that you all get into community and connect with one another. As a quick intro, my name is Lawrence Bass, and I am the current creative director of brand and marketing at Pensole Lewis College of Business and Design, formerly known as Pensole Academy. POC, aka, Pensole Lewis College, aka POC, is the pipeline for career education and professional development, serving the product creation industry. We really pride ourselves on being the source, the mecca, the plug, or whatever you want to call it, of creative vision and progress, always pushing the culture forward. At our core, we really want to be able to help people tap into vision while leading and empowering them to create a better individual and collective future. So, in order to do that, we all have to prepare. By we, I'm speaking about creators, students, leaders, teachers, and even mentors at these brands. So, the opportunity is really always available for those who prepare for it. So, with that being said, one of the main opportunities that we have available now is a class that is currently launched. It's the PLC times Wolverine Worldwide Masterclass. Like I said, the application is currently live with the deadline being May 1st. There are multiple categories that you can submit for, including footwear design, apparel design, color and materials, and product marketing. This particular class is open globally to anyone that is 18 years or older. The tuition and housing has been funded by our brand partners, and they have also provided brand design guidelines to help you guys through your submission. So all of this information is readily available at our website at www.pensolelewis.com /apply. That'll take you to this specific landing page on our website. Also tonight, our panelists will be reviewing some of the submissions that we have already received for this particular program so that everyone gets a chance to see exactly what it takes to be able to apply to one of our classes. So if you have any specific questions regarding this application process, we'll have time at the very end for Q&A.
Yep.
So now let's get right into it. For tonight's chat, we're really going to kick this call off with intros to our panelists, and it's going to lead straight into our discussion. After the discussion, panelists will give live feedback on the design submissions, as I just mentioned. And then at the end, we will leave it open for questions, comments, any interactions you guys want to have with the panelists. So a few rules and housekeeping before we get started. Please be active in the chat. So submit any questions. Let us know where you're from. Let us know anything that you would like us to cover or answer. And one of the moderators will make sure to filter those questions so that we can get those things answered for you. Number 2, which is the most important, please keep your mic on mute. We don't want to distract any of the panelists while they are engaging in conversation. And obviously, we want to make sure that we're able to hear them. And then the last thing, once we open the floor up for Q&A, please make sure you turn on your camera. We would really love to see you guys' faces and interact with you directly. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the host of the night. We got big Brooklyn energy in the house, PLC's engagement manager, co-founder of Obsessive Sneaker Disorder, and much more. Please welcome Sean Williams.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Tapped In. This is here where we are going to do what we call the 3 E's. That is empower, engage, and encourage you through our Tapped In sessions and all of our esteemed team members who are going to help you and do everything you need to do and gain the knowledge, insight, and confidence to do what you need to do to be a part of our programs. But what we want you to know is, number 1, we are very attainable. That is one of the things we want to make sure everyone walks away knowing we are a very attainable experience here at PLC. We are not aspirational. We want you to be a part of everything that we do here. So Tapped In and any other resources we provide, be it through Tapped In or the PLC website, which is pensollewis.com, there will be resources to help you with anything you need to help you successfully submit and increase your chances of acceptance into our programs. So welcome again. We thank you. You've heard the housekeeping rules from LB. And if there's any questions, again, by all means, please put those in the chat. We have a great team of moderators here who are going to be monitoring the chat and making sure that we pick up on as much as possible to address any concerns. So what we're going to do now is we're going to introduce the rest of our team of panelists here, our esteemed panelists who are going to be here with us, providing that insight tonight. And it is indeed a dream team, I most humbly state. First, we start off with Haiti Franco, our color and material design lead and our development manager. What's up, Haiti? How you doing tonight?
Good. Hi, everyone. Excited to be
All
here.
right. Next is Jenna Moore, our brand program manager. How you doing, Jenna?
I'm good. How are you? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining.
All right. All right. We're gonna skip over to center billing for a second and head over to our director of footwear design, the esteemed E. Scott Morris.
What's up, everybody? Good to be on the call.
Next over, we're going to talk to our director of brand partnerships, founder of Mark, Mr. Dion Walcott. What's up, Dion?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy to be on the call. Interested to hear what everyone's talking about.
And again, we get a special shout out to our creative director, Lawrence Bass, and Liz Miller, our strategists or moderators for tonight. And back up to the center, top billing, the man himself, founding president of Penn Lewis College, our guy, Mr. D. Wayne Edwards. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. It's 7 o'clock and I've been in front of this damn computer for 12 hours. but I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited to see what people have to submit. I'm curious to hear the conversations that we come up with, as well as would love to hear questions. You know, I think you mentioned it and LB mentioned it. You know, our goal is just to kind of clear stuff up, man, and create more insights as to, you know, what we're looking for, you know, future students, as well as, you know, help out any aspiring professionals that want to get into this industry that we call home. So I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm tired, but I'm here and ready to go.
That's all right, bro. The team is here to uplift you. The superpowers are around you. So tonight's topics, to start off with, the main front billing, you know, topic for tonight is art design and customization. How to harness your POV in a design submission. And I think it should start off, Mr. Edwards, with yourself discussing, really set the table regarding your background and your journey and how you really entered the industry and that type of journey that I think people can take a lot of stock from and put tonight in a great context. How did it begin for you?
Yeah, I won't bore you guys with the stories that you can find online, but I would say I'm actually all three of those people. So the artist, the designer, the customizer, but I was the artist, the customizer, and designer in that order, where, you know, I was born with the gift to draw, and I had two older brothers that helped me foster and further develop that skill. I didn't know what design was, right? And so growing up, just drawing anything I could see, that was going to be my path. That was going to be, you know, my destiny. I'm from Inglewood, and if any of you from Southern California, you probably heard of Venice Beach. And if you go to Venice Beach, there's probably some of the most gifted artists that you'll ever see in the world on that beach, just chilling, homeless sometimes, but they are amazing at their craft. And that was really for me, like, damn, like if I'm an artist, do I end up there? Do I end up in a gallery? Like, where do I go, right? And so I just kept drawing and trying to improve. And it was when I went to high school and I started playing basketball on the high school team, and our uniforms were green and white, and there was no Nikes in green and white. And so you can, back then you could buy any color you want as long as it was white, or white, black, and maybe white, silver. And so I would get my whites, get some shoe dye, tape them up, X-Acto blade, dye them up. Here I have white, green Nikes that nobody had. That became a drug. That drug was going to school and people looking at your feet and like, damn, where'd you get those at? Now, of course, you never tell anybody where you got your shoes. And you definitely don't tell them what size you wear, because that's a problem. And so what that turned into is like what I didn't know, that was called customization. And so I started customizing all through high school just to feed my sneaker habit, so I can continue to go to Foot Locker and buy sneakers and dye them up and be different. Didn't know that was a thing called customization. And then I was turned on to this idea of design in high school, where it was the idea of creating something from scratch, creating something of my own ideas. And so once I started doing that, then that became addictive, where I didn't want to, wear the same shoes that everybody else had. I had other ideas for Nike, I had other ideas for Reebok and LA Gear and any other brand that was out at the time. And that's when I discovered what design was. But due to, being the youngest of 6 kids, I knew college wasn't in my future. So therefore my design career was over before it even started. And the rest of the story is history, but, getting into the industry at a young age and then really learning what design was by working next to people who were veterans and doing it 10, 15, 20 years, that's when it really opened my eyes to the world of design. But all of that started with art. Like if I didn't have art as the catalyst, it would have never led me to the creativity of thinking about, hey, let me customize my shoes so I can match my uniform. And then that came, customizing my shoes to match my cross colors, customizing to match my Carl Kanais and my Maurice Malones. If I didn't have that spark of art creativity, it would have never led to the customization. That customization would have never led to design. And so I think those 3 things are critical to every creative person's journey.
Thanks for mentioning a couple of brands that people are going to have to Google.
Yeah, that's a damn shame, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But you mentioned that journey, and there's a couple other people on here. I'll kick it over to E for a second. E. Scott Morris. E, in your best estimation of your journey, how's that flow for you?
I mean, Dwayne's journey and my journey is very similar. I grew up in North Chicago, Illinois. If you can imagine this, it's probably 1980. And I tell my mom, like, walk up to my mom and say, I'm going to work for Nike. And she said, who's that? I said, who's that? Because nobody even called it that. They called it Nike.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. The irony was, I said, Mom, I think I can create these shoes. Somebody's creating them. I think I can do it. Now you have to remember, at that moment in time, I'm being raised on Marvel Comics. Okay. I learned how to do all my anatomy from Marvel. Okay. Foreshortening the whole bit. Right. So Jack Kirby, John Buscema, all them dudes, they basically were my teachers. Right.
Mhm.
I drew that first. Right. That was my thing. Footwear for me, because I played sport, I played, baseball, I played football, I ran track, you know what I mean? And I love those sports. And my thing was, how do I connect to the sports after I'm done playing? Because I don't want to go away from it.
Right.
One thing I will say to the audience in general is that when you heard Dwayne say creativity is the nucleus. That is the catalyst that springs everything into motion. Because when I began back then, and I've been drawing since I was 3, so I was drawing on everything. I draw on the back of a bill. If it was a blank piece of paper, it didn't matter. The reality was, the first thing is it's artistic expression, it's creation, it's instinct, right? But that creativity over time, I was very fortunate because, I got some good insight from my mom and a couple other people. I said, well, why don't you go into design? And I said, well, isn't that commercial art? But remember, Dwayne heard it probably like I did. Oh, go be a commercial artist. That just meant at the time be a graphic artist. That's what it meant. Not that that's bad. It was like, you're not going to do what you want to do what they tell you you should do so you can make some kind of financial capability, right? What I learned quickly was my dreams actually had a location, but I had to send out a signal, right? So again, I ended up going to Michigan State University. I studied product design, right? It was my senior thesis show, get ready, for products that would come out in 2020 that had a combination of, yeah, imagine that, right? 1989, 2020, right? And the idea was that a lot of the support was outside the shoe and everything next to you was like a sock, right? So it was this idea that, you know, if you think about Solo Flex from back in the day and the bands and you connect all the stuff and you could see everything move, right? So that's, yeah, and I'm seeing Dwayne go, oh my
Don't
gosh.
nobody know what the hell that is. That's
I know they
another
know
thing
that.
somebody
That's
got to
another one you can
Google.
Google.
Yeah.
You can Google that as well. But what was the most fun was, and I'm saying this to the entire group that's listening in, a gentleman came to my senior show, and his name was Bill Husted, and he worked at Adidas. And he went through the show. He didn't contact me at the show. He waited till I went down back to the design room, walked in the room and said, "You love sneakers, don't you?" I said, "Dude, I love sneakers." This man took a piece of paper. He wrote down 7 names. He said, "Call these people." He handed it to me. Not email, not call this person. Here's the 7 names. Good luck, son. I think you can make it. And guess what? That started the odyssey that I'm on right now.
Oh.
So if you can envision that, right? That happened. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you think it's not possible, guess again, it is possible. There was no Pencil Lewis College for Dwayne or myself, right? I went to a formal college and my own professors would say, "Going to footwear?" Like they're looking at me like, huh?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, don't you want to go work for Black and Decker or Procter and Gamble?" I'm like, "Nah, I want to work for Nike, Adidas, New Balance, somebody. I'm trying to do that, right?" And you can see the head scratch, right? But I think the desire to want to do it is 1/3 of you getting there. If you have a desire, you have to fight for it. You have to.
So they have to Google the 80s. They don't even know what the hell the 80s is. They're like, what?
Okay.
That was a long time ago. Like, is that in black and white?
Yeah, I think what we need to do right now is reset the table on making sure that people know that there's going to be a lot you're going to learn today, in addition to the tools that we're going to give you to make sure that you have top-notch submissions and things that you need moving forward. There are a host of jewels that will be not just in this session at Tapped In, but future sessions at Tapped In, where you will need to be on the ready with a notepad and a pen or a separate ability to Google stuff real fast. But you know, I want to bring Dion Walcott in to talk about, you know, his experience in that, and just really from the artist perspective, what you've been experiencing with artists and being able to make that connection and sort of segue into other places through, you know, their beginnings in art. What are you seeing out here? What has been your experience, bro?
I mean, before we even get into that, I feel like Pencil Lewis College has a history department that we haven't promoted yet.
Right.
You can take a class in history as well that you'll learn a lot of things about. But on the art side, I think what's interesting is, like, I've had many conversations with Dwayne and many others, and this is the first time I've actually ever heard Dwayne pivot himself to be an artist first before he was a designer.
Yep.
And I think everyone on this call, like, it's important where we are in 2022 to understand that art is actually the gateway into a lot of the other things that you're going to learn at Pencil Lewis College. So I've dealt with a lot of different creative people. I put it in a creative sense because I feel like creatives have many different branches from the art tree. You know, sneaker design and sneakers is a lot of times the engagement tool because it's super popular and it's exciting. But what I would drive home is remember that it all is birthed from art. You know, some people will be successful, some people will learn a lot of things. But if we're always sitting in the art side of things, there's many other avenues that you can also explore. Myself, for example, I could barely draw a straight line, but I've been working inside of the creative industry for almost a decade. When I was in university, I played sports. The center of my team could draw anyone's face here in probably 5 minutes. And we partnered together where he would draw the whole basketball team's face and I would put logos on the side of a poster and sell it at basketball games, and quickly became a partnership person and didn't know I was a partnership person. Why I say that is because being around creative people also presents a lot of different opportunities. Sneakers a lot of times is the highlight, and, you know, like, you can learn a lot of things, but as you guys go through whatever you go through, and, you know, as Pencil Lewis College continues to give you different pathways to education, keep in mind that like sneakers may be your gateway in, but you may end up being in a totally different category that you never thought about that still puts you around art and creativity. So excited to see what everyone's doing, but that's the piece that I would love to offer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you, Dion. Thank you. And I just really want to add to that in art being a gateway. One of the biggest things that has motivated me to do everything that I've done in this industry as far as knowledge and education and sharing and empowering people is from my roots as someone growing up as a child of hip hop in New York City and being a graffiti artist who's done subways and gates and clothes and cars and all different kind of merchandise that art, has been applied to, even though graffiti wasn't even considered art back then. Realizing that now with what we have here with Pensacola Lewis College and all of the other resources that over the years we've been providing is no one has ever given me that opportunity or had that conversation with me while they saw me in that creative zone to say to me, hey, you could be doing this. Did you know that with that talent that you have right there and your love of sneakers and apparel and, all the things that growing up in New York City you're exposed to in terms of footwear and fashion, no one ever had that conversation with me. There was nobody there. There was no Dwayne Edwards or E. Scott Morris to say to me, there's an industry waiting for you where we could use your talent. And one of the most important things we want to make sure people know is, it exists, and we're going to make sure that we do everything possible to, again, empower you, educate you, and encourage you to be a part of everything we're offering here at Pensacola Lewis College. And, these are applicable tools to take you anywhere you go in the world. But in context of what we're talking about here with, again, we don't want people to feel that their talent has, a box that it needs to be put in. If you remember, Dwayne said earlier, when he realized, early on, going to Venice Beach, he had the thought, is this where I'm going to end up? Is this where it ends for me right here on the beach, painting people and, doing things? And is this it? It's not it. It's not it. So I want people to realize that it will take you wherever you want to go as long as you open your mind up enough to utilize the tools that are being provided and just trust the process. That's one of the other things that, everything afforded us in terms of information and news today has been the against is trust in the process. So with that being said, I want to ask this question to DE. DE, how do you make the transition from thinking like an artist to a customizer to a designer? How do you make that transition?
Well, I mean, it was the natural love for the art and the creativity that naturally led me there. What I was searching for at that time, man, was just belonging and trying to understand my existence, right? And I think a lot of people are still doing that to this day. Where for me, it became an outlet, right? So that first, being an artist and winning competitions when I'm 12 years old, like that became a drug too. Like when I started to get rewarded for the craft, like that's when I really got more deep into it. And then, like I said, that led to the customizing, in high school. That drug was just acceptance, right? So, being able to, what it's like to have shoes on that somebody else don't have.
Yep.
Right. You special at that point, right? And, girls look at you a little bit different. You walk a little bit different, things change. And so I wanted to keep that coming, right? It was when I was about to graduate from high school where I was trying to realize like, okay, what am I going to do, right? So I'm growing up in the 80s in Inglewood. Getting to 18 was a win. 17, I am very successful. Like just being alive at 21, I'm very successful. So I started to really think hard about what am I going to do with this gift that I have, because I knew it was a gift because other people told me it was, and I was winning things because of it. And so that's what led me to like, what are the other outlets, that I can do? When I was in high school, I actually got kicked out of art class. So I got kicked out of art class, one, because I didn't want to draw fruit. The second one was I was better than my teacher. And so they couldn't teach me anything. And so they punished me by sending me to drafting class. That was a gift, because when I got to drafting, I started to use the other side of my brain and combine the two worlds together. And then that's when design started to click. When I got to my sophomore year, when I got to my junior year, there was nothing else left for me to do. And so one of my teachers told my drafting teacher, he told me, hey, there's this program about an hour away by bus. If you can get there, you should go. And it was called SCROC. And so I rode the bus from Inglewood to Torrance every day after school, my fourth, fifth, and sixth period, to study interior design. That was the first time I heard the word design, is when I was in this place with grown-ass people who was doing this thing called interior design. And that just opened my whole world up, because I'm the only Black kid there. I'm a junior in high school, and I'm learning about color and materials and textures. I'm learning about perspective drawings and all these renderings. Like, they didn't have any of that in Inglewood, dude. But I had to leave my comfort zone of my environment in order to be exposed to the opportunity. And today I can see that being the same for most people, where we are unfortunately prisoners of our environment. Even though, you know, we can be anywhere we want to be in the palm of our hands with a phone, we have a tendency to be complacent and comfortable where we are. We don't like to challenge ourselves. We don't like to be uncomfortable. I knew I had a choice. Like, it was either learn something new or just succumb to the city of Inglewood. And I chose to get exposure from somewhere else that completely changed my trajectory. So it was me traveling 2 hours a day by bus, and that's how I got introduced to design. And then that led me to these other possibilities.
E. Scott, I want to hear your take on that.
Well, I'll say this. As an artist, no matter your level, you know, and Dwayne shares his story. The thing was, I knew I could illustrate. I knew I could replicate what I saw. And I knew that I could do it at a level somebody would say, hey, that's pretty good, right? I mean, I'm sure Dwayne remembers drawing Tippy. I think we all did.
Oh, dude, that was my shit, dude. I won like 3 competitions in
I was gonna say,
that.
you probably blew that out, right?
I was killing Tippy, man. So
All right, guys, another Google point.
Hold on, yeah, you gotta Google it. Another one, Google TV Guide, dude. So that's the other thing people don't know existed either.
Right.
Yeah, these kids are spoiled, man. Yeah.
So the thing that I think is most important is when you talk about what's that transition part, right? For myself, I knew that I could do the expression and I knew that I could do the creation, but I didn't know how to explain what I was doing. Does that make sense? I didn't know how to explain it, because somebody will ask, well, why'd you do that, right? And how many times have you heard, well, I liked it because it was cool. But you might hear, well, that doesn't tell me why you did it. It just tells me how you feel about it, right? So what I learned once I got to Michigan State and I started studying design, I realized that you had to explain things. That was this, okay, this is not what I was expecting. I'm talking about what I'm doing, right? It started off like, okay, I can explain it. That's no issue, right? But then by the time I get into what I call the first industrial design courses, and I'm illustrating, or you're trying to design something, you're trying to explain how you can make something better. Why do people need it? What's it for? And at first I used to go, man, this is not going to be easy. But what I learned is what Dwayne was talking about. You know, he rode the bus. What I ended up doing is going to the library, right? Or ordering books. And I'm like, okay, how did the pros do it, right? Because there was no Instagram. There was no place for me to go and watch a video. It was like, you're going to do it by trial and error. So I vividly remember taking markers, pencils, pens, gouache, mixed media, 18 by 24 paper, right? And I'm not kidding you, 25 to 30 drawings a week, just burning it up. It's like, if it stinks, it stinks, but I got to try it, right? Because I wanted to know if I could do it and if I could explain what I was creating. That's everything from exploded views, you name it, right? You know, profiles, you know, whether it be motorcycles, cars, you name it, anything. Just trying to figure out, you know, what I could make. I mean, Dwayne said he didn't want to draw fruit. You know, I never wanted to draw the guts of a CD player either. But you know what? I found myself doing it, right? He's like, okay, you got to do explosive. You got to show where the wires connect and the whole bit. So what you learn is explanation is everything, right? Yeah. It's how you get somebody to believe what you're creating. right? And I would say in that, next to that explanation is going to be function, right? Because it's one thing to say, hey, it looks cool. I like the way it looks. How does it work? Because people want to know when you go into product design, how does it work? I didn't realize that was a direct correlation to that with footwear, because it was like, the shoe looks great. Does it work? What does it do? How does it give you support? Does it flex? What's it made out of? And so it became what I call the mental psychological tear down. You see something and you already start taking it apart in your brain. I'm gonna take it
Right.
apart. How's that
Right.
made? How did it do that? Right? Looking inside, want to take one apart. I always say, one of the most beautiful things you can do is take an old product, just tear it apart, see what it's made out of. Dwayne's probably done it a thousand. I have. You just rip one up, just take something, tear it up. And when you tear it up, you learn. It's like, oh, so that's how they do it. Oh, there's a flange, there's this piece kind of connects to this piece, and that's why it's a smooth surface. You learn these things, right? So it's one of those, it's a discovery thing, right? I didn't walk into this thing saying, oh, I got it made. No, that was not the case at all. But I will say this. I had a professor, his name was Bob Alexander. He was my first design professor. And I used to get so excited about design. I used to be like the first or second person in the studio. So I either turned on the lights, right? Turned up the heater, or had the music going. One of the three. I was usually either the second to last person or the last person to leave, right? And he used to say, about week 6, he goes, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He says, you love design, don't you? I said, man, I love it. He goes, you got 2 traits that's going to get you where you want to go. Because you the first one in, you the last one out.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't even realize what he was saying. It was like, when you love it, you are driven. You're going to push. And you're like, no, it ain't right. I'm doing it again. Right. And it's like, you hear a basketball player talk about putting up shots. It's like throwing down on paper. One more time. And,
Right.
because I can say to the group listening, Dwayne did not have Illustrator. I did not have Illustrator. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you saw something amazing, it came here, and we put that thing on paper. We put it on paper, right? I mean, what's beautiful about the tools in the modern era, it saves you some time and it helps you understand how to do some details that get you where you want to go. But I tell you, there's still no feeling like when you draw your own hand-drawn chrome and you go, that's some good chrome. Oh, that's a feeling hard to get right there. So
Yeah, see, they don't know what rendering chrome with marker and pencils looks like.
well, come and see us at PLC. You can find out. We do a lot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They will.
The gift of drafting class, it taught me how to draw straight lines like if it was Illustrator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sean,
Side note, I'm gonna throw this out there. Is the person who taught me how to draw chrome, his name is Bob Layton. He used to draw Iron Man for Marvel Comics. I learned all my techniques from Bob Layton. All of them.
So I want to ask Dion this question to the same vein. Dion, you're seeing, today's current generation of artists out here. Are they in tune with that transition? Are they mentally there? Do you see folks who get it and they want help with being able to make that transition, or what are you seeing?
I mean, I feel like it's hard to say, are they in tune to make the transition? I feel like, do they want to make the transition is probably the better question, because it's more inside of them. If they really want it, they could figure it out. I wanted to comment kind of before I get into that, is like the TV guide era, which is interesting because E. Scott and Dwayne talked a lot about the technical skill side of it. I think, if everyone's looking at themselves as artists, the one thing that you guys, or the younger generation, the new generation, may not realize is like, see everyone on this screen becomes a community of creatives. When Dwayne and E. Scott were coming up, like, you were creating in the dark. Like, creatives were people who did that in the stairwell. And you know what, it wasn't cool to be someone who could draw. So don't take for granted the fact that, on a Thursday night, you have access to not only like senior professionals who know what they're doing, but like your peers, and building a community of people who could support you through your creativity, something you shouldn't overlook. Because like, I could promise you, when there was a TV guide competition, Dwayne, you probably couldn't call someone and be like, yo, you think I could win? That you'd probably in the dark, like, no, I don't even want to tell nobody that I'm doing this. Now you're in a position where, you know, creativity is almost the new athlete, in my opinion, where, you know, it's celebrated. We're creating platforms for you guys to get access to this information. So to your question, Sean, there's a technical skill side, but I also think for them to be able to transfer into like really wanting it has nothing to do with anyone that's going to teach them. It really starts inside. It's their own internal journey of like Dwayne and Escott can teach them everything they want. If you don't really truly want to hear it, then that's up to you. The supports that are here now, but between Pencil Lewis College, this call, those are the things that you need to really lean into. How far you're going to take it is going to be people that you see on this call that are going to be beside you, whether you get into the industry or not. So for me, it's actually more important whether you're going to transition or not, more just realizing what's really in front of you, and you have a community of like artistic and creative people that can support you on your journey.
Well, all right. Brass tacks question to Dwayne Edwards.
Yep.
How can all these point of views and approaches be used in a design submission?
So I know I only got about 3 minutes. That's a big question. But I would say, you know, the first thing is, you know, none of us are, you know, brand new and original. There were people before us.
Yep.
And there's people before you, right? Check out how they sketch and check out how they draw. Look at other people's styles. Look at how other people submit. Because when you're a designer or an artist, you have a signature. That signature is not your name. I mean, what you put on that paper or on that canvas becomes your visual self-expression, right? When you're submitting to our programs, honestly, that for the footwear design, it came from Tippy the Turtle. That's where it came from. It was just draw whatever you can by hand. Like that's the only rule we have, man. Like, I don't know how much simpler it could get, where we just want to see just your bare minimum skills, because we know we can help elevate that if you spend time with us, right? The part that we can't do, though, we can't force you to do anything. We can't teach passion. We can't teach, you know, those things that you need to have, like E was talking about, being first in and first out, or doing 30 sketches a week. Like, you need to be doing like 20 and 30 a day. I mean, now the game has been elevated because of the E. Scotts and, you know, the Chris Dixons of the world and all these other amazing designers out there in this social network that exists that I'm not really a part of. But I heard there was this thing called social media that people post sketches on, right? And, you know, people post sketches on there. They're real pretty, nice renderings and all that. Sometimes it can't be made. Just rumors to me, because I never looked at it before. But if that's your world, no, seriously, if that's your world, if that's your way of getting information, start seeking information of stuff that you can use. Mm-hmm. And in this instance, for us, like when our submission requirements is draw a shoe by hand, like, I don't know how much easier that could be. Right. But sometimes we talk ourselves out of things. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I hope if anyone takes anything from this conversation right now is don't be afraid to try. Because if I didn't try to draw Tippy the Turtle, I would have never known I actually had talent. Because, you know, your family lied to you, man. Like they always lie and say, oh yeah, you're great, baby. That's good. They don't know. Right. But when somebody else tells you, and you start to get rewards from it, like, okay, there must be something there. Yep. So it looks like we're going to looking at some submissions, speaking of submissions. So I'm excited to see what we got. Yep. So one of the awesome parts of this experience tonight with Tapped In is that we're going to give a few lucky people some real-time live feedback here this evening. So this is the part where, even though it is being based on a couple of particular folks, the feedback, everyone should be paying attention. So hopefully folks are watching and got a pen and a pad or whatever you use for note taking,
And it is time for us to get into a review of some live submissions between a few of the team members here. So it's about to come up on screen here for us to review. All right. So we are reviewing here apparel design, Saucony. This one here, the requirement was submit one hand sketch or digital sketch of your original apparel design that reflects one of the 5 Wolverine Worldwide brands you selected and is inspired by your urban outdoor setting. So this one in particular is for Saucony. That is the proper way to say that. So we have one here that we can go into. DE, you want to have at this? Is this DE having at this one?
Yeah, this is me. This is me. Before I give some feedback, I want to give a shout out to probably one of the best artists ever on the planet that has created something that everybody wants, which is Mr. Brian Thompson. So if you don't know who Brian Thompson is, Google that brother right now, and you'll completely understand why I said what he created, everybody wants a lot of it, by the
It's
way.
gonna blow your mind.
A lot of it. It will blow you away when you hear it. All right, so yes, it's called Saucony, not Socony or whatever other people on the East Coast call it or Midwest call it. West Coast people, it's called Saucony. But here we go. Great. First of all, what I love about this submission is you showed multiple views. That's the first important part. You showed multiple views, giving us a perspective of not just the front, the sides, but showing how your design was created in a 360, right? So you didn't just do all of your best work in the front view, right? You gave us something to look at on all views, right? So that's the first one. That's beautiful. The second one is the call outs, right? The call outs, even though I hate small text because I'm old and it's getting harder for me to read small text, but the design was interesting enough for me to actually squint and try to figure out what that was. Now, to whoever submitted this, make that font bigger. Whenever you're submitting sketches and you want to have call outs, there's nothing wrong with having them, but make them bigger. If they're smaller, it's just a pet peeve. People won't look at it because it's too hard. They got to work too hard. But what I do love, first and foremost, is that you showed all views. You gave some call outs. It tells me you have an understanding of materials. You have an understanding of function. You have an understanding of what your design really is because you did it in the 360. And a lot of times people just give you one view of something. And I know I design in 360, but it's flat. But I can see the other sides as I'm doing this one side. And so I love the fact that you did that, as well as, you know, using color as a tool. You use color as a tool to highlight your work. So that was great.
Well, all right, all right. Hopefully everybody's tuned in, or literally speaking, pun intended, tapped in and hearing this feedback. All right, so we got one more submission for review in the apparel section. How about this one, Dee?
Good. So this is different from the first one, right? Because this person didn't show all views 360, but they showed what's called a collection, right? This head to toe kind of collection, and they didn't give me one silhouette. So the previous person followed exactly what we asked for, right? So we give you those minimal guidelines for you to stretch it as far as you want to stretch it, right? And so what this person did, they really showed that they have versatility with being able to creating different outfits and how those different outfits can be modular and worn together, depending on bottoms and tops can be switched around. But the idea of creating that collection, that was a huge advantage on top of your use of color and your use of branding. Those are the two biggest call outs I can see that you did it both very, very well, very well. And you even give me a little action shot, right?
Right.
Which is
I
even
love
better.
it.
Yeah, it gave me. I knew you would like that part, E.
Yeah,
But yeah,
know that.
I love the insights that you put into it. And again, you know, this person went above and beyond the expectation or what was asked of you. And I can tell you honestly, what we're looking for is for you to at least follow what we asked for at the bare minimum. But when you can elevate it to another level, go ahead and do it. Absolutely, go ahead and do it. And so congratulations to this person. This is great work.
Awesome, awesome. So that concludes our live feedback for the segment in apparel. But next up, we have our esteemed team member, Haiti Franco. We're going to be doing color and materials. So Haiti, are you with us?
Yeah,
How you doing this evening?
great. Thank you.
Good, good. So it's color material design time for feedback. So once again, the requirement was submit one hand sketch or digital sketch of your original apparel design that reflects one of the 5 Wolverine worldwide brands you selected and is inspired by your urban outdoor setting. This one is for Merrell. So let's see what we got.
Correction, this is actually the incorrect directions for a color and material design board. We'll have Haiti talk you through the correct directions once I pull up on the screen what she's giving feedback on.
Got you. Here we go.
Okay, so this is an excellent example of showing a color material palette, and the ask in the submission was to show your point of view in terms of how you represent one of the 5 brands in Wolverine, which is in the submission brief, as well as including color palette name, your name, submission, and then references to biomimicry and sustainability. I think they can drop in the chat as well, like the submission brief details. So this is a good example overall of a well-organized color material board. So I'm going to go over kind of the general things that Miss Suzette, who's the color material director at Pencil, looks over. So first of all, great job on overall composition, very clean, all the information that's asked for. So following directions is number 1. I would say A+ for the color names. Color names can be added and they can tie back to the overall story. A+ on the materials. Feels very fall, holiday with a sneaker boot and great tie-in to a sustainable point of view. So overall, another thing to look for is what is the tone? What is the brand narration? What are you narrating in your story that ties back to Merrell, if that's the brand that you're designing for? Or it could be Saucony, Wolverine, or any of the other brands under the umbrella. So another thing to consider, if you're whoever submitted this, if they want to push this a little further, you can consider what is it that you're saying that says Merrell, if that's the brand. So considering maybe lightening up some of the images. Right now it feels overall a little bit dark, a little bit too themed. The colors don't necessarily have to match. They're harmonized a little closely. You might want to differentiate one of the colors, add a little bit more vibrancy. And then you might want to, take out like the specific references. So maybe keep, the image of the tree, the top left image of the tree, and then the bottom right, which feels very conveys like a sunset haze, a specific mood that feels outdoors. To make this a little tighter, you don't necessarily need, sometimes less is more, so you don't necessarily need that many images. I would take out like the ghost or the guy with the sheet on top, the jaguar, and the bottom right, the hand skeleton. I think it throws off the mood a little bit, and then it would tie better with your material choices. Also, that border image adds great textile on the right-hand side. I would even include that in your board to kind of make that more dynamic. And the border on the left, I don't know if that's necessarily needed. That might be a different mood, but I think that would be a great addition to this board. So I think, like, if you think what 3 images really speak this Wolverine or Meryl consumer, what fits most to the narration and the overall storytelling, and then tying it back to, again, the colors. You don't necessarily have to have like the hex numbers below. That's not necessary, but that's, you know, a good addition. You looked it up, you're consistent with the colors. And then another key thing overall, what Suzette and I are looking for, again, is, you know, you have sustainable fibers here, great. You have fashion, there's other industries. Think about what other industries influence product: medical, aerospace, waste management. All of these are really multi-directional industries that will inform and make your board more dynamic. So thinking about the overall storytelling, some key things to sort of avoid. So no illustrations, no competitor branding, no specific apparel images that might throw off, you know, think about who your audience is, who's looking at this. It's the brand and it's Miss Suzette. So there's a competitor apparel, or if it's something really specific, you might lead them to think of distract of your overall mood. No specific footwear. And we like to say in color material design, no palm trees, which means no use of repetitive imagery. So if there's one, say you have an example of, you know, a tree or some sort of reference to a car, don't repeat like cars in the mood board, just use one image. One can tell the story if you pick the really strong one that conveys what you're trying to say. And then we have, again, really great examples on the website of so many of our alumni that are now placed in the industry. And those mood boards are really great and they're on the website. Please reference them. And again, 25% of color material design specific pencil alumni are now placed in the industry. So I would really reference those, because there's all range from like really simple ones of 3 images to ones that have more. And I'll drop it in the chat as well. But great job overall.
All right, all right. Thank you, Haiti. Appreciate that. All right. So next up, we have product marketing. And this one is calling out for Sperry. You're submitting a 1-page creative product launch plan. Describe your target consumer and your ideas on branding, marketing plan, advertising campaign, and the sales strategy. And using images is optional. So let's see what we have here. All right, so we got what is called a Sperry-thon. So with a new Sperry Sports collection, I'm going to call on DE to help me out with this one. For me personally,
I wasn't looking, man. I thought you said Sperry thong. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? Wait a minute. Sorry.
All right. Thank God that doesn't exist yet.
Nope. So again, here, the strategy here, again, we're giving you very specific instructions to give it to us on 1 page.
Yeah.
And that's critical. That's critical to this assignment, because a lot of times in corporate America, they want all presentations condensed into 1 page.
Yeah.
Where they want it exactly, efficient, to the point. When you do that, then you're very careful with all the words you choose, because you have limited time and space to execute against it.
Right.
What I love about what this person did was they used they used visual graphics to attract me and draw me into the middle. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even go from the top. I went straight to the middle.
Yeah.
The part that I don't necessarily like I like the shoes at the bottom, but that one to the right, you just threw it in there because it was negative space.
Yeah.
You don't need to junk up the page. Just because there's negative space, that doesn't mean you need to fill it all the time, right? And so what we're looking for when we're asking you for these one-page go-to-market strategy is, one, the visual layout. Then it's the content to what you're creating. And if that content tells a clear and concise story.
Yeah.
And whether you work in this industry or not, you did a really good job of simplifying the approach to the far right with having the arrows starting from the target consumer and going straight to the launch, because
Right.
that is exactly where it should start and that's exactly where it should end. And I love how you created this, this lineage
Tagline.
there, right? That was really smart. So I don't know if you work in the industry or not, but you pulled off some industry tricks with this with this one pager. You pulled off some industry tricks. Now, the one thing I would say is the top paragraph is a bit too heavy word wise, where you can condense that. You can say the same thing with less. And that's exactly what this exercise was, is how can you tell me everything I need to know in the simplest way possible?
Yeah.
So I love the visuals. I love the color. I love the addition of the shoes at the bottom. Don't care for the one that was just placed there to the right. But the other call out I would say to the far left is that Sperry logo. Now, brands pay a lot of money to showcase that logo off. And you selected a bad vector version of that logo where it was almost like that was, oh wait, I got to add Sperry's logo to it. Where you want to think about carefully how you place the product, but make sure you place the right logo in very clear resolution so it doesn't look pixelated and it doesn't look like an afterthought.
Yeah.
But for whoever did this, you answered exactly what we asked you to do with giving it to us in one page, giving us some clear bullet points to look at and focus in on. Job well done.
Yeah. And I love that there's a tagline here that even though when you saw it at first, you thought it was something else when I said it, but now Sperrython is in our head.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
So that right there, right off the jump, was a great start. And based on the feedback, this person had received, right here, right now, I'm anticipating this being an even tighter submission,
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just a few little edits, but it looks good.
Yeah. So our next segment we're moving into is footwear design. That is going to be, the feedback is going to be provided by our esteemed team member, Mr. E. Scott Morris, alongside Mr. D. Wayne Edwards, if he wants to. But we're going to jump right into that. Again, the requirements were, and this one here for Merrill is to submit one hand sketch lateral view of your original footwear design that reflects one of the 5 Wolverine worldwide brands you selected. All right. So where are we going right now? All right. E, are you here with us?
Yep, I'm right here, man, on the case.
All right.
I'll start with this. I see what I see. I do see a lateral view. I see an outsole view, a top view, and a heel view. Now, one of the things that I want everyone who's watching to know is, first thing, you got to give me some vision on what it is that I'm being inspired by to tell me what is this, right? Because I have to guess now what it's for. I don't know what it's for. The second thing is, in the illustration, you're showing me what you want to do, but there's no explanation to tell me why. Now, of course, that said, I see this, the strange line under the outsole, and I'm like, is that supposed to be a shadow? I'm not sure, but I know what's happening. So do I think that the illustration is good? I think the illustration is fine. The challenge is there are some things, and I would say, go online, look at the internet, see, how do people present things? The shoes floating in space. Shoes don't float in space. So you need a ground line to ground that lateral view. I would have probably taken what is your heel view, and I would have moved it diagonally across and would have been right next to what is the heel of the lateral view, the same size. to show scale, right? Even though it's not a full size 9 or whatever the case, at least you're telling me the scale is the same, right? If you wanted to show me, the outsole in the same spot, I didn't need the shadow line, didn't need that, right? It doesn't tell me anything. At the same time, with the top view, I would have been okay with that being separate off to the side. But more so, again, the drawing is good, but I would love to have had some explanation.
Yeah. Ground line
Yes.
gets everybody.
Yep.
Gets everybody.
And that's okay, because that's something that can be done on the next step. That can be done. Okay.
So really quickly before we move to the next one, what is it about ground lines that we think can help people?
Well, I think the number one thing is it gives you a base, right? It gives you a basis to work from, meaning the shoe is sitting on the ground or a shelf or a table. And what you can do from there is you can begin to create what I call instinctive measurement. You know what I mean? How much, heel rake, or how much, 4-foot toe lift, or, talk about heel lift. You can do these small things that will help you get what I call an accurate representation, right? When you don't have one, it doesn't mean the drawing's bad. It just means, if you're not careful, it could get wonky. It could get weird. It could get misshapen. So you just need a simple foundation to take you where you want to go.
Copy that. Up next.
Okay.
Here's the second one.
Okay. So again, to continue, would have loved to know what the vision, behind the concept was. And again, it can be in written format, even if it's a small picture, just to depict, this is some of that inspiration. Because again, there's the vision that goes with this. How did you get to that? I think in the illustration is a good illustration. I think, the individual was really trying to interpret what is an outdoor, active, low cut shoe that has a variety of materials. Again, we don't see a ground line. However, what we do see is the individual was making a solid effort to give us dimension, right? You can see some of those white spaces in the heel counter piece, the external heel counter, and kind of in the 4-foot. You can tell that, that white space represents volume. So I know what the person is trying to do. I get it. I'm like, okay, I see what's happening. But again, explanation. Tell me why it's there. Give me just a little line that says this is, a reinforced molded frame. This is a heavy gauge nylon lace loop for lacing. This is a waterproof, mesh. Something that tells me it's not just an illustration, it's actually a design you were thinking about how it was made.
Right. DE, anything to add?
Yeah, the bottom of the shoe should be underneath the bottom of the shoe. I mean, that's kind of easy. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We got one more.
Okay. So here again, simple illustration gives us, a good profile concept of what this person's perception of a Merrell product might be. I think the sketch is a simple, good sketch. They have a ground line, that's great. And they've stylized the drawing to kind of give you a feel of what they think it might be. I think the drawing is fine. Would I have liked to have learned more about this shoe? Yes, I would have. And again, I don't know what the vision of the shoe is or what it's for. And I think, if there was just a simple explanation of either materials or function, that would help me understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, very, very stylized, very square, square heel, square toe.
Right.
Ground line is actually tilted up a little bit, but looks like it'd be okay if it was level.
Yeah.
But yeah, very stylized. Like, yeah, I agree.
Right.
All right. We hope everyone is really taking notes on these. We finally got to one with a ground line, so we're making progress there, right?
Yeah, I mean, he lives in San Francisco, but yeah, you got a ground line.
Oh man, but we got two more. We got one from Saucony,
Okay.
and then we'll have another bonus one for cats. So
Okay.
we'll take the Saucony one first.
Great. All right. So again, I see the sketch. Now, again, I don't know the size of this sketch. My instincts tell me it's probably drawn slightly smaller than the page that I see. So it's very what I call concentrated. The color is very concentrated. So with the markers, I see this. Now, in the design world, someone would say, well, gee, that's a little heavy-handed, but that's okay because I understand what it is that's being shared. So I'm simply going to look at it this way. Do I think that it has a good shape? I think the shape is good. I personally might have passed on the laces. I feel like your laces are getting more attention than your shoe.
Like the laces are throwing up, man.
It's fire coming out of those laces.
Yeah.
It's fire. Okay. So my thing is, you don't need anything to detract from the excellence that you're creating. Let those laces just disappear or fade off into nothingness. You know what I mean? The game just be black and white lines that go into trail. We get it. But I think the overall shape is interesting. The heel counter is interesting. I think the bottom is interesting. But again, I wish I would have gotten some vision on where does the inspiration come from? Just one image, maybe in the corner or something like that. I would want to know, what the explanation of some of the parts were. It seems to me like the heel counter piece has some type of structural function, but I don't know what it is because it doesn't tell me what it is, right? And of course, there's no ground line. So there's, we want some ground lines.
Yeah. I like what he did or
Yeah.
he or she did with the logo, even though it's probably a trademark infringement, but I like the idea of utilizing it and wrapping it around organically. And I agree, like the laces was too much. Like you created a distraction that you didn't need to necessarily create for, trying to get some style points. We're going to see through that kind of stuff, right? And don't add anything extra. Like just give us exactly what you want to show us, and let us dissect it. But I think it's a pretty nice integrated design.
I do. One of the things I would have liked to have seen, as crazy as it sounds, I would have loved to seen this sketch in black and white. No color.
Yes. Yep.
I would have loved to see it, or just in black and white. I would have loved to see it that way with gray.
I think this would have looked really good, black and white.
Yeah. It's got the right kind of componentry for that.
Yeah. Nice work.
Yeah, we do like it quite a lot.
Yeah. Are we slightly traumatized by the flying laces thing?
No, it just looks like fire.
One person said yes, one person said no, but that's all right. We got one more from. What do you say, E?
No one was hurt in the making of those laces, so we're okay.
We got one more from Cats. All right.
All right.
Here we go.
All right. So again, I see the kid sidestep. So here's what's good. So at least in the vision, I know the type of product concept that I see, the sidestep, I get it. So I take right off the top sidestep and I see the side lacing. I'm like, okay, you've taken me somewhere. You're giving me a cue to work from in the vision. So you're taking me there. That's fine. In the illustration, I think you're showing me a lateral medial. I think both views are solid views. And I know it's a hand-drawn sketch, so I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for progress and explanation and some clarity. So, as I look, I'm under the impression that the upper right shoe is probably your lateral view, and that the bottom big view is actually the inside medial view. And if I'm wrong, my bad, but that's what I see. So in a case such as this, I want to know which one's lateral, which one's medial, which one's the outside, which one's the inside, right? And again, if you had to give me just, a couple of words or one sentence to say, asymmetrical lacing gives a refined fit. What that tells me is sidestep has been defined. And then I think after that, great job on trying to replicate, textiles and materials. I love the work in the counter and how it kind of wraps around on the lateral side. So I see depth and I see, molding. So I would say for a sketch, nice sketch.
Yeah.
It looks like the big shoe is the lateral and the small one is the medial. But the one call out I have though is there's no KEDS branding on it.
Right.
And KEDS has a very specific branding identity that does not show up. And so that is something to think about when you're submitting product for specific brands. You want to make sure you treat their logo the way that they would treat it and apply it in the places, or apply it in a new way, right? Either you follow what their brand guidelines are, or you apply it in a new way. But for this one, I think having the logo being missing, it kind of interrupts the idea of it being a KEDS designed product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good work, though.
Yeah. Good work.
Yeah, it is. And technically, even though they used the bottom of the page, they did technically use a ground line basis.
They did. They did.
A little
They
bit.
did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Technically, but it's like basketball. You're using the out of bounds line as the additional defender.
That's true. Yeah. Or the referee. Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah. Somebody.
But I think one of the things before we wrap up this segment, you hinted on it, and it's something that I see a lot when I'm looking at design work, and you guys surely seeing a lot, and you touched on it already regarding logos and branding for footwear. A lot of people simply don't know the rule, just to put it out there really quickly, behind being able to make sure that the logo or branding isn't used as a design element for particular reasons.
Yes.
So let's just make sure we make that point.
Sure. And what I wanted to say, I'm glad you said that, Sean. So for all of the, the folks out there listening, in the history of design, Adidas probably has had infringement more than anyone, because there are brands that say, hey, I have stripes. They say, well, you can't do stripes because we own stripes. As soon as they took their form stripe and made it functional, they actually lost their patent.
Right.
As soon as they did that, they lost their patent. And it was like, oh, wow, so now anybody can do that, right? So it's something you have to stay in your own lane and live by your own rule, or you could end up losing the rights to something that seemingly distinctly is yours, right? I think the other thing is, and whether we're talking about, Saucony's Wave, or we're talking about the KEDS logo or a swoosh or anybody's logo, remember, the logo is not the design. The logo is the final kind of exclamation point to the design. Okay. So it's not the design itself. It's almost like if you've done something really good, guess what? It should stand on its own. And when you place the mark on the product, that should be your exclamation point.
Yep. Jules.
Okay.
All right. So we are now in the segment of the program where it is time for Q&A and comments. We're going to try to field as many as we can prior to conclusion of the program. We know that we gave folks a lot of information, a lot of Google worthy information on top of the live feedback information that we provided today. So we're going to open it up for Q&A. Our moderators have been fielding and watching questions for the entire program, and it's now at this point we're going to field some of those. So who are we going to get to first? Raise your hand and we will happily give you access to ask your question. So you raise your hand using that function, and we'll be happy to allow you to come in and voice your question. Please say your name and the whole 9 yards too. Name, where you're from, whole 9 yards. We want to know who we're talking to, and make sure you are visible on camera for us, please.
Yep. Ty, my Ty's up there.
I mean, I see a question in the chat.
Hi, my name is
Ty.
Ty. I'm from Southwest Detroit. I just got.
Hey,
a
Kyle, I can
question.
see your
What is
hair
the-
talking. I need to see your face, bro.
I'm sorry, I don't
like
Zoom on my
there he
phone a
is.
lot.
There's Ty. Hey, Ty.
I'll try to
I
set
don't
it
want to look
up.
at your
I don't
hair,
know my
man. Like,
phone.
I know you
Amazing
got a lot
locks.
of it. You're trying to floss because I don't have any hair. That's cool, but I want to see your face.
No, my question is, what is the best for someone who only has like, you don't have a lot of, you have ways you can do digital stuff, but you don't have a lot of expensive equipment. You just sketch it on paper. What's the best way to
Man,
submit like
you
that?
don't need no
That's
damn
all you
equipment.
need.
Yeah, what you mean? Dude, all you need is a piece of paper and a pencil. You don't need no damn equipment.
This is pencil, man. Paper and
Yeah, I'm
pencil.
glad that you guys think like that.
Yeah,
You don't need no
absolutely.
damn equipment. Hey, equipment ain't gonna make you better. It will enhance your abilities, but it will not make you better, and it will not change our mind. As a matter of fact, if you send a sketch if you send a digital sketch for footwear, DQ'd immediately, because that was not in the instructions. The instructions was do it by hand. Now, even though you use your hands on the computer, that don't count. But no, you don't, that's a falsehood, man. You don't need a computer to call yourself a designer or any of that. You use your natural gifts. Use your natural gifts. There was another person, Perry, I can't pronounce your first name, so I'll say your last name. Perry asked, is it okay if he uses a ruler for a ground line? Absolutely. But then the second part of that question was, he said, can I use points or something for curves? Nah, you should freehand curves. Like ruler, I give you, like, you can't make a straight line, but curves, you could do that with your hands.
You can.
Because I'm looking at a lot of these submissions and they're like scanned. It looks like they were done online, like they're scanned with a phone or something. Like,
Nah, we can tell if they're done by computer or not. Trust me.
Yeah, you
We've
can
seen
tell.
enough of them. We can tell.
but I'm saying like, could I just take a picture of my paper and submit it?
Yes. Yes, Ty. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, you
okay,
can.
thank you.
We're extremely high tech over here, man. Just do it by hand with a piece of paper and a pencil and scan it with your phone. Take a picture with your phone.
Yeah, the only thing you need either your cell phone or a computer for is really the application. So
Yep.
that's it.
All right.
All right, Ty, I'm gonna be expecting to see your work, man.
Okay,
And
thank
we'll
you.
see-
I'm gonna submit soon. I have submissions for every brand.
Okay.
right.
Oh, damn.
forward to
Okay,
it.
you went in like that.
Looking
All right,
forward
Ty.
to it.
All right, Todd. We watching. We see you.
Okay. All right. We got more hands. Some hands popping up.
Malcolm, go ahead and ask your question.
Peace. Okay, let me get my video.
Okay. There he
Oh
is.
man, it's so good to see you guys, man.
Good looking guy right there.
Yes, yes, good to see y'all,
okay.
man. I
You too,
Heard
man.
some-
Always good.
heard some great jewels, great things, man, and yeah, I think somebody mentioned on the call as well. There were pieces of you guys' story that I haven't heard before, so
Yeah.
that was fun to hear. My question is very brief.
Okay.
I won't take up much time. But in this, in this next phase, in this next journey of Pencil that is PLC, will there be opportunities for something similar along the lines of, I remember there was an application opening for like a mentorship program, like the Envision mentorship program. And this is somewhat related to design, but what I'm doing right now is working a lot with like the government, the federal government, and they're really focused on, this particular administration's focused on they're focusing on registered apprenticeships, right? So like getting people to do, getting them a career pathway that's not necessarily the traditional pathway. And I think obviously, Dwayne, that's been your journey. That's been my journey even.
Right.
Like I didn't finish school. So like, will they be opportunity? I know with Pencil being really like a registered, accredited college now. Congratulations, I never
Thank you, bro.
said it formally. Will there be opportunities, kind of dovetailed with the traditional like college education that
Well, we won't, me, we ain't gonna do nothing traditional. We're gonna put our spin on it. But yes, we will have mentorship programs. We will have entrepreneurship programs to teach people how to develop a business and run a business the right way. So yeah, we'll grow into all of those things, but absolutely, we don't have that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good seeing you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
All right.
Any more questions out there? Don't be
We got a
shy.
couple. We got a couple. We got Seth and Rashon and Amira. I see hands, and I see another hand up as well. I got a gentleman. Look like he's ready to share.
You can go ahead, Seth.
I can't I can't like start my video, but
Okay.
hold on. Wait, oh, never mind. All right. My name is Seth Bennett. I'm from Philly. For
What's
the
up, Seth?
what's up with you, bro? For the product marketing, for the the launch plan that we have to do, is there like a specific product that we have to like center like the plan around? Like it's like a real life product or like something like made up?
LB, was it specific to Wolverine Worldwide brands, or was it open to anything?
I would make it specific to Wolverine Worldwide brands.
All right. Good.
Yeah, not like the brand, like the product that we have to like center like the plan around.
Yeah, so you have like 4 or 5 brands to choose from. Pick one of them, and then if you were in charge of trying to convince someone to learn more about that product and to purchase that product, what would you do?
And also had another question as well. Is like the recording for this meeting like going to be like, it's like going to be like emailed to you or something, or?
I think so, LB, right?
Yeah, LB.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it on the website, and we'll also share clips on social. But if you would like the clip emailed directly to you, I can do that as well.
All right, yeah, I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
All
All
right,
right,
that's it.
man. We're gonna see a submission, right, Seth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Forward to it.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna be on him, Seth. I was just with Seth yesterday. I'm gonna be on him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's on you. Yep.
You
He's on
heard
his
that,
own.
yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get it then.
Good.
All right,
Good.
thank you.
All right. Okay, who's next? Hands.
I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Rashawn? Rashawn? How do you pronounce it? If you're talking, you're on mute.
Unmute yourself, bro.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm getting ready for work, so I might have missed this if this was answered. The time requirements in order to do this program, is it like a full-time thing, or is it something that somebody can do while also working a regular job?
You work at night though, right?
I work at night, but I know other people that might want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 9. Yeah, it's long.
Okay. So
Yeah.
even if I did work at night, I would still be full. Okay.
Yeah, but we can figure, if you work at night, we can figure it out. But we
Most
need you in the
definitely.
day.
Like, it was honestly, like, I mean, just listening to, you guys break it down, there were some things that I wasn't sure that I would want to be involved in, but hearing how you guys broke it down, I think I might pick up some extra courses.
Hey, it's free, bro.
Great. Love that.
And you in Detroit.
And you in Detroit, and it's free? Come on, man. You got no excuse.
Come see us. We're looking for you.
I can also speak on the time involvement. So it is a full-time commitment. However, the after hours are really working time for you guys. So if you did have a full-time job, you can make it work, but it is on you to connect with your team to make sure you guys are staying aligned throughout the program. And you're handling the responsibilities of your team that you have as the designer, whether it's footwear, color material, apparel, products marketing. It is on you to make sure you're continuing that if you are maintaining a job. But we do work with the schedule. Like Dwayne said, it is 9 to 5, and you do have after hours for working, but we will accommodate for that. You just got to make sure you complete your work and turn it in on time.
Got that. Cool. Who's next? Thank you, Jenna.
Next person is Amira.
All right. Excuse me. Hello, everybody. My name is Amira Haynes. Born and raised in Norfolk, Virginia, or born in Norfolk, Virginia, raised in New York, currently living in Michigan near Detroit. So, because I have a little microcosm of experiences that kind of I attribute to my design language. I appreciate everybody talking about like the throwbacks, the Carl Kanais, the cross colors. I know D. Wayne talked earlier, and our other class talking about April Walker and Walker Air, because I'm like a real student of fashion and the history, because I really like enjoy it. And I really believe that to kind of know where you want to go, you have to kind of look towards the past. So I guess in regards to that, my question would be, is there anything wrong? Or I guess if you do it in like a new way, to kind of call on the greats and parts of design from the past to kind of use them to influence your design, and then take the things that are uniquely your design language and mix it in to kind of like create something new.
You could take that one, E, but before you go in, E, I will tell you this. So at some point, April Walker is going to be in Detroit at POC. Carl Kanai is going to be in Detroit.
Don't tell me that.
Cross colors are going to be in Detroit. So that's the beauty of Black creativity is a lot of us are still alive, and I'm blessed to call all of them friends.
Right.
And so when we kicked off PLC, they all text and said, how can I be involved?
Right.
Same with Brian Thompson. That brother did the $100 bill.
Right. And you're looking at him right there.
Yes.
And he's here.
And
he's here.
Right there.
That's 100
And
right
he's
there.
here.
So all y'all
in
who put
Detroit
100 on y'all
sometime
little
soon.
things, that's the only dude that got the real 100 right there.
Yes. So
That's the only one.
we're gonna bring in the forces to really celebrate Black excellence, and because we want you to become Black excellence.
Right.
And so E, you can go ahead and address Amira's
Yeah,
question.
sure. What I was going to say, Amira, is absolutely. I think this is a great opportunity. When you talk about what I call respecting the past, but representing the future, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to look at what's been done and say, how do I recreate, or how do I interpret it in a modern era where, you hearken back to it enough to give them their respect, and you tip your hat to them. But at the same time, you are pushing forward to say, from then it was this, and now it's this, right? So I would say, by all means, if you can do that, you should do that.
And the second part of thank you again for answering my question. The second part of my question, I guess, is what is the time frame for this class? Because I recently got I'm doing the Carhartt one, so I'm just trying to figure out if I have time to roll over into the next one, or even try to just build some more. Like, I haven't gone to any traditional school. I was in the military, haven't gone to college, not anything in design, just kind of start off like you guys. Everything started off with art and illustration for me. And I'm trying to, really trying to build the skills necessary to like really give this a shot. I figure like now is the time. Everything seems like it's falling into place with PLC being in Detroit and everything. So I'm just wondering what's the time frame, I guess, for this part, the Wolverine brand.
It starts June 13th, so Amira, you can submit to the class. The application closed May 1st.
Yeah.
The only thing to be mindful of is the internship for Carhartt. If you were to be selected, that starts pretty close to the time that this Carhartt program ends, but you would be able to attend the Wolverine class if you got in, because it starts June 13th.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you again, Jen, and everybody for answering my question.
All right, Amira, got it. I wouldn't be the podcast host expert I am without going off script for a quick second. Does anyone have a question for the esteemed Brian Thompson, who's here with us? This is your $100 bill shot.
Besides, can I get one? Like, any other question besides, can I get one?
That question is exempt.
Yes.
Who's got a question? Real quick, then we going back on script.
It's like asking a genie for more wishes. They don't do that.
Yeah, we threw him a loop on that one.
I'll go ahead with a question, if you don't mind. I guess, first of all, that's like, I didn't know that. So thank you, everybody, for bringing that to my attention. I guess I would say, like, how did you find yourself in the situation to do that? And when you realized, like, the weight and the gravity of that? How did you approach, designing something that would become so iconic?
So my story is a little different. I started at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and I was 19 years old, right out of high school. So what's interesting is I work with a bunch of stakeholders. So the Federal Reserve, Secret Service, Treasury Department. So it's a lot of information pouring into you at one time. And you have to, for me, it's literally like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. One of the most difficult jigsaw puzzles you ever put together in your entire life. So you have to be a problem solver. It's just that simple. You really do. And that's one of the things that I've always been, has been a major problem solver, but I would always solve my problems by sketching and drawing. And that's pretty much my job to a certain degree, is problem solving and knowing where to fit certain things in where they need to be fit in. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's great.
Thank you for that, Brian.
Hey, I got a story, man. I got to tell.
Let's have it.
So
let's hear it.
E remembers this. I called him one day, said, "E, man, I have an issue, man. I'm trying to figure out how to put all of this information down so people can understand it, that I'm speaking to an audience." And he said, "Man, just fly up here." This is when he was at Reebok. He said, "Fly up here. I'll run you through my studio." So I ran through the studio, checked everything out, came back, and I actually came up with a system on how I actually design now, which is thinking in layers. Literally not thinking in one, just when you're drawing. I think people have this mindset where they're just drawing in one layer, but I literally think in several different layers when I'm designing. And I learned that from watching E, and he actually taught me that throughout those years. He said, "Man, you got to think in layers. You got to think about all the, the story behind it. And once you get the story and you have what inspired it, and you think in layers." So I actually applied what they do in footwear design to actually banknote design. And I actually think in layers. And I'm not the only one that does that. There's a company called Crane and Crane AB that actually does the same thing after they saw what I was applying in US currency. So when you see those kind of design theories play out in industrial design, it's pretty much universal language. You just got to know how to apply it. And it has actually helped me throughout a whole lot of things. I just finished doing the US passport that just came out. And I had to think in layers there because the new data page is literally like a credit card thickness. And it's like 20 layers of plastic that I had to design in. So when you're thinking in layers, you're thinking about all these different things, how they fit in layers with color, shape, security features, and just have a unique balance where it looks like a piece of artwork. Right. And and I'm listening to everybody when they're designing on their shoes, you got to think in layers. And one thing you got to do is stick to the rules. Please stick to the rules because they're telling you to draw. Do you know that most people in the design world will not hire you if you can't draw? You got to know how to draw by hand because they want to know what you're thinking. And when you're thinking these things out, they want to know, okay, they're applying what I'm saying, but I can see it in their design. Just because you can do it in that pretty picture on a computer does not tell the full story. They want to know what's coming from your heart, family. And I'm telling you, that's a part of my job too. They want to see what I'm designing from my heart, and that's what gets it going. That's what catches the audience. My audience is the whole world because the US currency is a world currency.
Yep.
I got to know what all these people are thinking and what they want to see. So you got to think with your heart, family. I'm telling you guys, you young designers, pay attention. What they have created at Pensole is huge. I didn't have this when I was coming up, and I wish I did. I had to do it the hard way. I had to contact E, hey man, what are you doing? He gave me a couple books, and I had to grind. But it's right here at your disposal, family. You got to take advantage of this. You really do.
Man, I feel like I need to be here right now.
Yeah, thank you for that, B.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
All right, so we got to go back on script.
we got a few more questions left, right?
Yeah, we got a few more left.
Sean, can I just jump in real quick because I think this question applies to all people that want to resubmit. So Jesus had asked the question if he can edit his application and resubmit. So what I will do is if you were on the call, I will unsubmit your application and move you back into in progress. Once your application is in progress, I will notify you and then you can log back into your same account in Slideroom and finish your application and re-upload your design and submit. I'm pretty sure I think I know who everyone is, so I will move everyone's application that is on this call into in progress. I will then email you and then you can go back in and resubmit, okay?
And on behalf of all of those people, I say thank you, Jenna.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So do we have any more questions? I think we got a couple more before we wrap up.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Dawn Johnson. How are you?
Hi,
How you
Dawn.
all doing this evening? Hi, how are you? Sorry, I don't have my my camera on. I'm in someone else's space, and I don't want to open it up. Is that okay?
Respect.
Okay,
Yep.
it's okay, Dawn.
All right, thank you, thank you. My question is, I am new to this, to the design aspect, and I have the other things because I come from a creative background, but I've also gone into a technical background. So I do software design, and I
Okay.
do the programming, but I also communicate that through illustrations, job aids, presentations, and things like that. So I have to address different audiences.
Sure.
So, but I don't have the drawing down. I used to draw real good when I was younger. Now I don't have the drawing at this point. So I'm having difficulty communicating that through the actual design aspect. I have the vision in my head, but getting it from there and actually communicating and drawing, because I saw the other ones and I am by no means there. So how can I migrate and communicate that and get that out of, and put it in design? And I mean, I know I have to draw it, but I don't have the skill set. So what do I do?
No. Well, let's park the car just for a second, Dawn. You do have the skill set. The question is, what we want you to do is we want you to rewire your thinking to say, let me start simple and work my way up to it.
Okay.
Okay. Because again, if you say I used to do it, you still have the capability. It's just something that has to become consistent.
Okay, that's what I do. Because when I put it on paper and I looked at it, I said, "Ooh, I don't know." When
But
I
this
looked at it,
it's practice and it's repetition. And as we've shared with a lot of our teammates, it's about progress. Okay, we're not the perfect sketch, the perfect design doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Okay, but a progressive sketch that answers the simple questions or the complex questions, that's what we're looking for. We want to know how you think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it sounds good. Because I just had one presentation. I didn't show the soul and all these other aspects. And now that I saw it tonight, I said, okay, now I know what to do. Because I didn't do that at first. So I thank you all.
Awesome.
sure.
We're looking forward to your submission, Dawn.
Yep.
Thank you.
Who else we got?
There's Edward Freeman, I see, and then,
Jamar Harris,
yep. Okay.
and there's one more.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but you have a hoodie on. So whenever you're ready, you can start.
Go ahead.
One more time.
Floor is yours.
Oh, is it my turn? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Ofense and I'm from South Africa. And what I wanted to know is what opportunities can we look forward to after the program? Like the Adidas Seed program, they promised or guaranteed positions in Adidas when you're done. So I was wondering if this program is the same as that, or is it more like you go to school and you get a qualification to help you find a job afterwards?
So let me help clarify something first, because I do work with Adidas on the Seed program. They don't guarantee a position at Adidas.
Oh, okay.
You have to earn that.
Oh, yes.
So if you are accepted into the program, you are in the driver's seat to that opportunity. Okay, so it's not promised. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay.
We will not promise you that you will have a job or an opportunity, but what we will promise you is we'll give you everything that we have to ensure that we bring out what your best looks like. And at the
Understood.
end, when your best shows up, if your best is good enough for you to get an internship or an employment, then mission accomplished.
Okay.
So we will never make promises like that because we can't control the many circumstances that could occur, right? But what we want to do is make sure that you show up with the right mentality to give us everything that you have every single day. So you leave the program knowing you gave everything you had. We leave the program knowing we gave you everything you had. I mean, everything we had. That's the only agreement, and that's the only thing we can promise you.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
If you're willing to do that, we'll meet you halfway.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right.
Yep. Thank you for that question. Greetings to you in South Africa too.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I gotta send a special shout out to my man, the chicken man Archie in the Philippines. I miss those chickens. Don't you, Dwayne?
No, right? It just feels weird to see him with no chickens in the background.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he knows it or not, but I've spoken to a couple of young people from the Philippines who've gotten to design, and they say they've gotten into design because of him.
Absolutely.
So,
Wow.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wow, Archie, that's the way to do it. All right. Bring them
live
to
from the
you.
Philippines. So we got a couple more questions.
Yeah, we got 3 more left, it looks like.
Okay.
Yep, Jamar, you're up next.
Okay. Okay. Jamar's putting it together, I think.
It's on you, Jamar.
Well, let's go with Edward until Jamar figures that out.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, when you're up. Here he is.
Hello.
There it is.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
What's
man.
up?
Okay, just one quick question I wanted to ask. What are like any like fast twitch exercises you probably like would like just think when you trying to like make a project, like something that you just like, you know, just something you would do consistently, like just something to like just help you like sharpen your skills over time, like not like you working on like a project like just nonstop, but something just was like maybe like you work for like maybe like 10 minutes or something like that, like something just quick.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand the question. So you're asking a question related to a product for using fast twitch muscles?
Okay. My bad. I probably confused you.
Okay.
It was just something like, well, I wouldn't say like fast twitch, probably just like a fast, like, you know, like fast drawing maybe, or like fast, like,
okay. Okay.
those just help you like sharpen your skill set a little bit.
Okay, well, I'll say this. Yeah, there's multiple ways that you can do that. One of the ways you can do it is you can, one, sketch a little bit smaller, right? And, you know, give yourself the opportunity to do quick gestures. Dwayne and I, we reference that as what we call bold strokes, meaning you're going to quickly hack out a rough idea. And it's not to say, hey, this is the design. It's like a seed. This is a rough concept to say, I kind of like the way the lines feel. I kind of like the way that direction goes. From that point, you would have to begin to flesh that design out, right? Because you might draw 15 or 30 of those little small ones, but out of the small ones, you might have 4 or 5 that really stand out. From those 5, you would start the process of sketching those. And again, this is where, you know, Edward, you would try to get the gesture first. Like, okay, what's the feeling? What's the essence of this thing I want to get, right? From that, then you can make the lines a little bit tighter. Because one thing that I've learned it, and Dwayne has seen it probably even more than me, when people start to slow down and their lines get tight, a lot of times they lose the flow. You know what I mean? They get rigid quick. It's like somebody poured concrete in your hands, right? So, you know, early on, it's okay to be gestural. You know what I mean? Let the lines flow. And if you see 6 or 7 lines, or just to get to the one, it's really about getting the feeling and the essence. Once you get that, then you can tighten it up and you can begin to get it to where you want it to go.
Yeah.
And I would treat it like a workout, man. Like put a timer on it.
Yeah.
Give yourself 60 seconds. I'm gonna bang out as many as I can bang out 60 seconds on a Post-it note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
And
keep doing that.
somebody, yep, and somebody I would do a point of reference for on that, who I've seen do that religiously, is Archie.
Yep. Yeah, Archie can bang him. He's a beast too. Don't let the vet fool you. He can still make it happen.
Yep.
He can still
Okay,
make it happen.
it's true. It's
Yep.
true. I still gunfling on Post-it notes. It's
Yep.
true.
Yep.
I do have a record now. I have a record. 4 days, 162 illustrations.
Wow.
On Post-it notes?
Post-it
Yes.
notes, bro.
Wow.
Yes. And they're colored and they're illustrated. Average time, just to give you an idea, Edward, my average time per drawing was 8 minutes. So it was 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes. So I was just like blasting it. I was going to town.
Just got inspired. Nah, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yep.
Good, man. Well, good.
It'll reach the point of muscle memory for you, Edward. You'll get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
it can be done. It can
Thank
be
you,
done.
man. So do we have one more final question?
Yeah, we still have Jamar, and then we have a few in the chat, but I'll let Jamar go before I read those
Okay.
if he's ready.
Showtime, Jamar.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. We'd like to see you though, if possible.
I don't know if I can get that on running, but I really just want to say I appreciate you guys for everything you've done for everyone. Last year I joined Pencil Designer with Soul with New Balance. I'm just listening to some of the jewels that you guys have been dropping, and anyone that's out here listening, I think they just really need to take heed on all the notes that you guys are saying, because my first drawing was like chicken scratch versus like what I learned, like drawing things up to true scale and things like that. And that line at the base of your sketches is key to everything. That should be the first thing that you ever should put on the paper, is that line. And it's just cool that me designing what I designed, it took me like an hour for my first drawing. And I just heard that the one guy said it took him like 8 minutes per drawing.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy, but I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Sure.
But that 1 hour, I didn't think that my drawing would even be taken serious.
Right.
And that drawing that I did within an hour, rendering, full color and everything, got me into Designing with Soul. And that was a worldwide thing. So I'm thinking that out of all these people worldwide, why would they pick little old me? Right? So that's why I just want to inspire people and tell them that it's possible, even if they think that their drawings are not up to par.
Right.
Put the pen to the paper and just go.
Yep.
That's
There
it.
it is.
There it is.
And I do have one question though. I'm out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I just want to know if you guys have affiliation with NC State. Do you offer courses out of NC State? Someone told me that one time.
Yeah, we have a few alumnus and current staff that are graduates of NC State, and we started the process of working with NC State, and then COVID happened in 2020.
Okay.
And so it's something that we're looking to revisit, as we move forward and get our feet established here in Detroit. But yes, our goal is really to connect with first HBCUs throughout the country, and providing those students who don't have the ability to come to Detroit an opportunity to learn virtually with us. And then we'll start looking at traditional design schools from there. But yes, NC State is at the top of the list because, like I said, we've had a few alumnus as well as current staff that are graduates of NC State. So we do have a personal connection there.
Okay, sweet. Because I look forward to it. I missed a master class.
Yeah.
But I look forward to continuing my education and, becoming a designer. I thank Gina Moore because she kept us on top of everything when we were going through those courses. So thank you, Gina Moore, for that.
Yeah.
Way to go, Gina.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, bro, there's planes and trains and cars that can get you to Detroit, right?
Yes, in fact.
Like, I just want to make sure you know that there was a way for you to leave North Carolina and get what you need to get.
Right.
For
Come and
sure.
see.
For
Okay.
sure, I will.
All right.
All right.
Next up, we have questions from Edward and John.
Okay. That'd be Edward Freeman.
Okay. He's there.
I'm sorry. I didn't have a question. Was I supposed to take this off? Like,
Oh, no,
Yeah, you can put your hand down. Yep.
All right.
Okay then, John, you got it.
And it looked like you need to go inside, bro. It is Detroit.
Dark.
No, Wayne.
Right. You got it.
What's up, John?
Hey, I just had one question. I know for the footwear submissions, y'all said that you wish you knew like what the shoe was for and what the materials were. Would you prefer that we label the materials and the technology on the actual sketch or in the video of us explaining the shoe?
Well, wow. Well, for me, like I said, you don't have to over explain. I mean, you can just do a quick arrow and just give a simple overview if you're drawing it by hand. Okay. But if you want to explain it in the video and embellish what you're thinking, that helps as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
You don't have to write a book,
Nah, not at all. And I want to see the rest of your shirt because I know that ain't a Starbucks t-shirt, man.
Yeah, I think it's like from like 97 or something.
Okay, all right, okay.
Oh yeah, that's from when they used to have the CDs on sale next to the counter.
Yeah.
I know that shirt. Never owned it though, but I know it.
Know the shirt. There it is.
Way to go, John.
Thank you so much. Appreciate everything.
Yeah.
You got it. We're looking forward to your submission.
No doubt.
Okay, we have a question from someone who is an apparel designer and they would eventually love to get into designing sneakers. How do you
Okay.
recommend they go about transitioning into that direction? What's their route look like?
Draw sneakers instead of apparel.
Yeah, start the process. Start the
Right,
process.
like just try. Like just
Put it this
try.
way. It's like anything. It's gonna start with square one. You're gonna try to illustrate a shoe. My personal advice: try to illustrate something you're familiar with. Just kind of get a feel, right? And eventually you'll say, okay, I'm brave enough to, try some other things.
Yep.
And just start trying.
Yep. And I would also give you this too. And this is actually for graphic designers, architects, any other creative or artistic field. Leverage that skill into this, right? So because you're an apparel designer, you have an understanding of construction and layers and everything else that will be a huge advantage for you when you start to look at trying to design sneakers. You heard Brian talk about, we're designing in layers. Well, you understand that as apparel designer, right? So don't abandon your skills as an apparel designer. Bring those skills over to the footwear side, and then that will start to make your work a bit different visually than of everyone else who does not have that skill. So just because you're switching disciplines, don't switch to the point where you're trying to be like someone else. Right. Be who you are, bring that skill over and do it the way you would do it if it was footwear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Agree.
You got this.
Looks like some of the other questions are regarding, do you need to be portfolio ready, or will the submission just be fine? Like the submission brief that we ask students to submit to.
I don't even think the word portfolio is on our website at all.
It's not.
So the answer is no. You don't have to have portfolio ready work. You submit one thing.
Yep.
And when you submit that one thing, just make sure you commit to that one thing and you do what your best version of that one thing.
Yep. And I want to touch on that too, just from the mindset of everybody who you're watching now. People will be watching this later. you have those questions and you have those doubts, again, PLC is all about your dreams and goals in these professions being attainable, not aspirational. You know, we've just really had a 2-hour journey here with a lot of conversation and advice around what is attainable, what's real for you, not, you know, what you might be able to obtain and acquire and achieve 10, 15 years from now. I think the overarching theme on a lot of what you heard from us is you are ready now. You know, we're giving you the tools to put that in motion. So if you didn't see the word portfolio on the site, go with what you didn't see and submit what you know you can confidently submit.
That's it. That's it. Agreed.
Archie has a question.
Yep, looks like we have like 2 questions left. Malcolm, are you raising your hand again, or is that up from the first time?
I was just going to echo the sentiment that I think Dwayne was saying, which is like, you know, start where you are. And I think Sean can appreciate this as well. Sneaker design, at least to me, is a lot like hip hop. You know, hip hop wouldn't exist if it wasn't for other genres. People brought other genres and other interests in music into the culture, whether that was, you know, electronic, rock and roll, whatever. It's a mixture, it's a blending pot. So use that influence. And yes, with, you know, fast forward from now, you do get someone like Kanye who brings in opera and all this other stuff that it doesn't look and feel like someone else's, right? So I was just echoing that sentiment.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
That's it.
There's a phrase said by, and this is another Google moment, final one of the night, a pioneering MC named Grandmaster Caz. He says this all the time on his XM show. Hip hop did not invent anything. It reinvented everything.
Yes, church, preach.
Use that mindset.
Well said. So well said.
We got one more?
I think so.
Yep, we're gonna let Archie close it out with a question.
Archie, close it out, buddy.
Hey, Star of the Philippines.
There you go. Hey, everyone. Thanks, Sean, for all the shout outs. Good to see you, Dwayne, and some of the guys here, E. Scott. I haven't met you personally, but good to see you here.
Yeah, thank you, man. Good to see you.
Okay.
Too.
So I guess this question comes from a personal experience as I hear some of the questions that are centered on the skills and sometimes on the tools. And coming from, I mean, Dwayne and Sean know this. Coming from someone who joined Pensol online with all the chickens in the background. It's a different time zone here. It's in the morning. So whenever we have that session, the chickens are always crowing or something like that. So it sounds like I'm in a farm.
Right.
And somebody who just starts sketching with a piece of the cheapest paper available, like copy paper, and the cheapest pencil available. And to be here with you guys right now and to somehow testify, to know some of the guys here. I see Malcolm. I went to school with him in Pensol in Portland. With no means, at that time, Dwayne knows this, with no other means, no money, no equipment, no laptop to go to Portland, but still make it there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And cut the story short, to be shortlisted and go to Herzogenaurach. I can't even pronounce the name correctly.
We just call it
Herzo. Adidas headquarters. Not to toot my horn or anything, but just to, you know, to tell you guys that if you're coming from nowhere or with nothing, that you can actually make it and do something about your dream. I guess here's my question. With all the skills, I know you guys are in PLC will teach all the skills, all the drawing skills, all the tools you're going to be providing them, right? Beyond the skills, beyond the hard skills of being a designer, what other soft skills are you looking for? Like what other attributes of a designer are you looking for that some of you guys who are in the industry,
right,
who would rather work with good people rather than good drawers, sketchers, good illustrators, right? What other attributes beyond those soft, the hard skills are you looking for?
I'll start real simple.
Yeah.
Humble.
Yeah.
hard work, and just the passion to do whatever it takes to get the best out of your abilities, right? With no excuses. And I would say you epitomize all of those things I just mentioned, Darcy. And Sean was telling the truth. There are some kids that, because you took a chance on yourself,
yep,
you inspired other kids from the Philippines to do the exact same thing.
Yep.
And if you didn't do that for yourself, like they wouldn't have done it for themselves because they didn't see it was possible, right? And a lot of what, you know, I've been doing in my career, and E and others on this call, is showing people that it's possible. Because a lot of times people from our neighborhoods and our backgrounds, we don't see what's called success.
Right.
Or when success is showed to us, it's through the lens of you have to have a microphone in your hand or a ball in your hand.
Yeah.
That is the message of success that corporate America gives us. They feed it to our young kids in these neighborhoods, a false sense of what's possible. And what we work with our corporation, our corporate partners on, is tell them the rest of the story.
Right.
Tell the rest of the story of a Jeff Henderson, a Jason Maiden, you know, a Chris Dixon, you know, a Dwayne Lawrence. Like, tell the rest of the story of Edmund Holmes. Like, tell the rest of the story of, hey, you know what? Behind that athlete or behind that entertainer, there was somebody who designed that product for them, and this is what they look like.
Yep.
Right? That simple gesture would inspire millions of people the same way those people, actors, athletes, celebrities, inspire millions of people.
Exactly.
That's all we're trying to do, man. We're trying to, you know, peel the curtain back to the rest and show the rest of the story.
Right.
And so, you know, and you know this too, Arch, you know, with all of our programs, you know, we only ask you guys to help other people. Like, that's the only ask we ask is, you know, you help 2 more people. If we helped you, you help 2 more, and you put that on those 2 people. Now that becomes 4, right? Yep. Is my math right? Or is that 6? Yeah, it becomes 4, right? And so if you keep doing that, right, then it'll start to spread organically, right? And unfortunately, that's the way we have to spread positive information.
Exactly. You know, if I was to follow Dwayne on that, I would say, Archie, the one thing that you have done in your career thus far, Dwayne has done it. I would say, you know, Sean has done it. I've definitely tried to do it. It's authenticity. Be who you are. Be who you are. You don't need to be nobody else. Okay. And for this reason, I have witnessed other designers try to be other designers. Dwayne knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to go past that. I'm going to tell you what their end is. They end up zeroed out. Yep. They're zero. They don't get the respect. They don't get the nod. And guess what? All they can say is, I spent all my time trying to be like that guy, when all I needed to do was just be myself.
Yep. And I want to add to that, to answer your question, Archie, on the soft skills. And it's one that I actually took in personally. You know, for everyone who knows, you know, the story or don't, I'm at day 0 Penn Soul. Remember, day 0.
Yep.
And in the early days of Penn Soul, maybe the first or second series of classes, I remember Dwayne standing next to him personally saying this to that class. And it's something that resonated with me. And it didn't just make me a better, you know, person professionally in sneakers, but it actually some information that I took in that actually made me a better husband. It went that deep. Wow. Now, this is something for every designer or everyone on here who feels like this is going to hit them to remember. It's a soft skill, Archie, but it's a hard skill. I stood next to Dwayne when he said this to a group early on and said, if you're going to be successful in this industry, not only do you need to know how to give feedback, but you need to master receiving it.
Yep.
Easily one of the most important things as a creative you will need to master. And I watched people struggle with that during that time. And we all have mechanisms in society now where we're being asked to give feedback. Rate this, rate that, you know, go on apps, tell us how you, social media, everybody's feeling empowered to give feedback.
Right.
But nobody's really taking in, mastering, receiving it. And that was something that I heard Dwayne say very early on to very early group of designers, because it was a struggle for a lot of folks at first to get it. We had one in particular. I'll talk to Dwayne about that one privately to reminisce on. But when you're given the feedback, you have to really understand the place from which it's coming from, the spirit with which it's given, and the result that you're being asked to produce. You got to be able to master receiving feedback.
Yep.
Very important soft skill.
Agreed.
So that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
LB.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Archie.
Yeah, definitely. It's good seeing you, man.
Yeah, Arch.
Good to hang out.
Yep.
Bring the chickens back next time, though.
Yeah, it's part of your whole persona, man. It's part of it.
Oh man.
All right.
Just to show you the global reach of what we've done here in 12 years, huh? So we're going to wrap up. We have to definitely thank everybody who rocked with us for this entire 2-hour session. We appreciate everybody's questions and interactions and everything that you provided in the chat room. PLC team, thank you tremendously, holding everything down. Eustace, special shout out to you, been quiet as a church mouse. Yeah. E, Dwayne, Dion, LB, Jenna, Haiti, you know, everybody who's jumped on. This was a great tapped in. Again, we have an active application process running until May 1st for our Wolverine Worldwide Masterclass, details of which are on pensollewis.com/apply. Again, this session will be provided in a recorded format on the pensollewis.com website after the fact. We will be sure to make sure that those of you who registered for this session will be notified of when that is. And we hope again that you guys have really taken a lot of notes and ingested a lot of the information here, not only just about what's going on with the Wolverine Worldwide class, but also these tips and tools and encouragement, more importantly, that we provided you to submit for programs and be in tune with what we're doing in the future. We are not going anywhere, and we don't want you to go anywhere. So thank you again. LB, do we have any closeout housekeeping or notifications to provide to anyone?
No, I think I am going to send an email out to everyone who attended the call, just, you know, to let them know when the replay will be available on the website, and I will also provide a link directly for you guys, but that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for tapping in.
All right. Thank you, everybody, once again, and we appreciate everybody, wherever you are, whatever the means, whatever the situation you were in, where you tuned in to join us and be not only just, you know, educated and empowered, but encouraged. And we will be back. Have a good night or good morning, wherever you are.
Because somewhere where Archie's at, it's going to go.
I made sure this time the chickens are not around, but
okay. We were looking forward to it, though. We really were. We were.
Archie, those are good eating chicken.
Don't tell D that. Don't tell D that.
Oh my gosh. All right.
All right, fellas. Thank you.
You guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.
I'm